I remember my son, when he was 5 years old, explaining to his kindergarten class what his father did for a living. My daddy, he said, pretends to be people. Fortunately, there have been quite a few of them. There were prophets from both the Old and the New Testaments, a couple of Christian saints, generals of various nationalities in different centuries, several kings, 3 American presidents, a French cardinal, and a couple of geniuses, including Michelangelo. It's been my good fortune, indeed my good fortune, to explore several great men who have made a difference, risen above the ordinary to change the course of human events. So as I pondered my visit here tonight, it struck me, if my Creator gave me the gift to connect you with the hearts and minds of these great men, then I should use that same gift to reconnect you with something even more important, your own sense of individual purpose. When he dedicated the memorial at Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln said this about those troubled, stirring times. We are now engaged in a great civil war, testing whether this nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. In many ways, those words ring true again. I believe that today, right here, now, we are again engaged in a great civil war. And this campus is one of many battlegrounds. The war I'm referring to is cultural rather than military. But there's something very vital at stake. Today, the battle is for your hearts and minds, for the freedom to think the way you choose to think, to follow that moral compass that points to what's right for you. Let me offer you an example. A couple of years ago, I was sworn in as the president of the National Rifle Association. I believe strongly in the Bill of Rights and this Second Amendment provision to keep and bear arms as one of those rights. I felt I could make a difference, that it was the right thing to do. And that's when the bombshells of the cultural war began to blow up all around me. To some, I went straight from Moses to the devil. To others, I fell from celluloid saint to cultural sinner, because I felt obligated to defend an individual freedom our Constitution protects. At first, I thought the issue was just about guns. Should law-abiding citizens be able to own them, as the Founding Fathers mandated, or should a big brother government be allowed to dismantle the Bill of Rights? Seemed simple to me. Simple enough, right? Well, since then I've learned that the gun debate is a lot more complicated than I'd thought. What I confronted when I became president of the NRA was an overwhelming Orwellian tyranny, sweeping this country, a fanatic fervor of politically correct thought and language. Zealotry is not a pretty thing. It's ugly. In the streets of Tel Aviv, where misguided young men strap bombs to their bodies and shatter not only mortar and steel, but also the lives of the innocent. We used to think we were above all that in this country. Then a federal building in Oklahoma City exploded, and we realized that the very same ugliness can smolder among us. More and more, we are fueled by anger, a fury fed by those who profit from it. Democrats hate Republicans, gays hate straights, women hate men, liberals hate conservatives, vegetarians hate meat eaters, gun banners hate gun owners. Politicians, the media, even the entertainment industry is keenly aware that heated controversy wins votes. It snares ratings and keeps the box office humming. They're all experts at dangling the bait, and Americans are eager to rise to it. Back in the midst of another troubled era, as a very young actor, I did something that was definitely not fashionable in Hollywood. I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King in 1963. It was long before it became fashionable in that strange city. It could have cost me my career. That was a time when black Americans couldn't even get a job as a union stagehand. Those of us in the civil rights movement battled the studios over this blatant discrimination, and we won, finally. Now, black actors and directors and writers are among the best in our business. I'm proud that some of us helped open those doors. 2 years later, as president of the Screen Actors Guild, I walked behind Dr. King, leading the arts contingent in his march on Washington. My wife was not allowed to walk in the front with us big dogs, but she walked beside an old black man with holes in his shoes. And she said afterwards, "I bet I had more fun than you guys did." It was a proud day. Now, you've got to fast forward 35 years. I recently told an audience that I felt that white pride is just as valid as black pride or red pride or whatever color of pride you want. For those words in that auditorium, I was called a racist. I've worked with brilliantly talented homosexuals all my career. But when I told another audience that gay rights should be given no greater consideration than your rights or my rights, I was called a homophobe. I served in World War II. If you saw Saving Private Ryan, you have some insight into that part of our history, that savage conflict. But when I told an audience that I thought law-abiding gun owners were being singled out for cultural stereotyping, much as the Jews were under the Axis powers, I was branded an anti-Semite. Moses? I love this country with all my heart. But when I challenged an audience to resist cultural persecution, I was compared to Timothy McVeigh. After a couple of years with the culturally correct crosshairs trained on my chest, I must admit it was a whole lot easier to be Moses. But I can say this: get involved with a politically unpopular cause and you'll quickly find out who your friends are. I've been blasted from Time magazine to the Washington Post to the Today Show and the guy down the street. They say, "Look, that's enough, Chuck. It may be your opinion, but it's not language authorized for public consumption." Well, if we'd been enamored with political correctness, we'd still be King George's boys. 1770. 1776 wasn't all that long ago. We've got plenty of good genes left to fire our passion for freedom. In his book, The End of Sanity, Martin Gross writes that blatantly irrational behavior is rapidly becoming established as the norm in almost every area of human endeavor. There seem to be new customs, new rules, new anti-intellectual theories regularly foisted on us from every direction. Underneath, this nation is roiling. Americans know something without a name is undermining the nation and turning the mind mushy when it comes to separating truth from falsehood and right from wrong, and they don't like it. Let's stroll around your own campus just for a minute and see if we can find a couple of examples. One that comes to mind is Freedom Magazine. Last year, I'm told, funding for this conservative campus publication was cut out entirely because some members of the Student Senate didn't care for its message. Didn't care for its message. Now, I don't know if the philosophy expressed on those pages was right or wrong, but it sure, Lord, deserves to be heard, don't you think? I thought that was what college is all about, examining a diversity of ideas before you draw conclusions. I've always been told that on campus there's a push for more affirmative action in the admissions process. Well, I'm for affirmative action. I marched for it. I believe it starts in grammar school, survives the growing pains of high school, and reaches fruition during college entrance exams. And I also believe it should be color blind. I have fought against racism all my life. So why would I tolerate racism in reverse? Skin color litmus tests, that harkens back to carpetbaggers and Reconstruction. I believe in a level playing fields and the equality that comes with accomplishment. One standard for all, no more, no less. But we have to be careful here because telling us what to think has evolved into telling us what to say. So telling us what to do can't be very far behind. I argue passionately for the freedom to keep an open mind because in audiences like this one, I sense and see America's best and brightest. Well, it's true. Brandeis remains a fertile cradle of American academia, and each of you are the best hope we have for a productive, livable, spiritual future. But I submit that you and your counterparts in colleges from coast to coast also appear to be the most socially conformed and politically silenced generation since Concord Bridge. As long as you shrug your shoulders and abide it, then, by the standards of your grandfathers, you are cultural cowards. If you talk about race, it doesn't make you a racist. If you see distinctions between the genders, that doesn't make you a sexist. If you think critically about a given denomination, it doesn't make you anti-religion. If you accept homosexuality but don't celebrate it, it doesn't make you a homophobe. A free people can use a new revolution every day. And I challenge you to resist the dogma of cultural and social stereotyping. I beg you, don't let America's universities serve as incubators for a rampant epidemic of this new brand of McCarthyism. Stand up. Speak out. Follow your heart, even if it goes against the conventional grain. Take heart in the fact that others have walked that same path. Jesus, Joan of Arc, Gandhi, Jefferson, Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Susan B. Anthony. I think the germ of disobedience is in our DNA. Who here doesn't feel a certain kinship with a rebellious spirit that tossed that tea into Boston Harbor? It's the same spirit that sent Thoreau to jail, that refused to sit in the back of the bus, that filled our streets with Vietnam War protesters. But let me warn you, it ain't easy. Dr. King stood on a lot of balconies. The police dogs in Montgomery were vicious. The water cannons in Selma were painful. They hurt a lot. Modern versions of the same weapons of oppression exist today. I feel very privileged to have been invited to a university with the reputation Brandeis has. I appreciate your welcome. I appreciate the opinions of those who disagree with me, and I appreciate your courtesy in listening to me. And for all of you, do your best. Stick with it. Don't let the bad guys get away.